Hello and welcome to Winery Biz 101. My name is Jack Rhino and I'd like to thank you on my presentation regarding cost of goods sold for Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon from a 100,000 case Negociant winery perspective. If you're familiar with my other videos, I've introduced this model that I call the value stream, which really just is a way to look at incremental value in producing wine as you go from bare land to growing grapes to producing bulk wine and then packaging that wine, selling it to the retail consumer. A traditional winery will start off either with bare land, planting a vineyard and growing their estate-grown grapes, or they'll go out and buy grapes. But what a Negociant winery does is they actually buy bulk wine that's already been processed, and it's much, much closer to the end of the production cycle. So it's typically, in terms of the makeup from a wine cost of goods, includes operation staff, which we'll pick up in this Negociant winery. But traditional wineries also include production facilities, overhead, grapes, harvest, processing. All of these costs for a Negociant winery are going to be picked up in bulk wine pricing. But additionally, there is bulk wine storage and aging, bottling, and warehousing. So from a staff and facility component, I'm making an assumption that we can hire a winemaker for about $1 a case. And all of the production staff, cellar workers, and that sort of thing can be included in the custom crush pricing. For this analysis, so one of the biggest components is going to be the bulk wine component. And Turrentine Wine Brokerage, in their market update, is a good resource for looking at what bulk wine is selling today. I've included their website here, and the report's good. It'll give you a range of sales as well as some of the recent transactions. In this latest report, Turrentine is reporting an average value for Napa Cabernet of about $21 a gallon. They've had sales as low as $14, $15 a gallon, but some also up towards $30. So 21 is kind of a good middle of the road figure. I also want to make a note that we consider the source of the bulk wine. It really comes from one of two places. The first is that particular wine doesn't meet the quality standards of the producing winery, so they've chosen to deselect it and sell it on the bulk market. Or secondly, there's just oversupplied, and they're looking to reduce their commitment and inventory by selling off a percentage of their production. Now, when I say that, what happens is a winery, if they've got 1,000 gallons and they need to sell 100, they're not going to sell off their 100 best gallons. What they'll tend to do is sell their 100 worst gallons. So either way, if you're in the bulk market, you've got to be aware that you're picking through wineries that wines either have problems, don't meet the quality standards, or they are on the lower end of the quality standard from the selling winery. Continuing on with the bulk wine, when you get into a Negociant, a just-in-time Negociant winery business model, it becomes very, very important to understand the labeling and what is required to be in a wine to support a label. So for example, if you're going to bottle a wine and label it as Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon, what's required by law is that 85% of that wine be from a Napa Valley appellation and 75% of that be a Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon. So what many of these Negociant wineries will do is they'll look at their blends very, very carefully and start looking at ways to extend that blend to reduce their weighted cost average. So here's an example. If we take a Napa Valley Cabernet and it needs to be 75% to meet our above minimum requirement at $21 a gallon, that contribution to the overall average is $15.75 a gallon. But it doesn't have to be 100% of that wine. We can blend that with 10% Napa Valley Merlot. So the 75% Napa Valley Cab and 10% Napa Valley Merlot gives us the 85% Napa Valley appellation required. But its cost is close to $10 a gallon, so its contribution to the weighted average is about $1. We've still got about 15% that we can blend, put in the blend, and that can really be from any source. In this example, I've used a California Ruby Cabernet. Could be coming from Lodi, could be coming from Fresno. But either way, that you might be able to buy that bulk wine for about $3 a gallon, so it would contribute about 45 cents to the weighted average, which is $17.20 versus $21 if you were using 100% Napa Valley Cabernet. Now, the difference may not sound like much, but it's actually almost about $10 a case in cost of goods. So the bulk wine component then at $17.20 a gallon times 2.5 gallons a case is about $43 a case. Production assumptions I've made, again, Napa or Sonoma custom crush pricing. It's variable, it's based on an a la carte menu. The more you do, the more it'll cost. I've assumed some standard production techniques. As far as time periods, storing, aging, I'm assuming that we actually bottle the wine within 4 to 6 months of purchasing it. In terms of warehousing, it's bottle aged for a month, and since we're bottling it 4 times a year, that we're selling off what we bottled every 3 months. And lastly, we're using a standard packaging, not what I'd call a premium packaging, more of a lighter weight glass, middle of the road cork quality, and that sort of thing. The harvest component, since we're buying bulk wine, is 0. The bulk storage and aging component is a little different than a traditional winery. No barrels, it's all the wine is stored in tanks. And rather than barrels to give you an oak flavor, you'll start seeing things like oak chips and micro-oxidation. These are 2 different processing techniques. The oak chips to give you the flavor of the oak, micro-oxidation to mimic aging of wine in barrels. But there's still things like racking and blending wines to tank, filtration, laboratory analysis, and so on. So the bulk storage and aging component is about $3.82 a case. The bottling component, due to larger volumes, is reduced from over $4. Now it's to $2.30. A little lighter weight glass, a little more standard, is in the $6.83. Corks, capsules, so totaling bottling component is about $15.64 a case. The warehousing, so we've got 4 months in a warehouse with in and out charges, is about 90 cents a case, and a small charge for the alternative proprietor and some administrative overhead. So the total cost of goods for a Negociant winery making Napa Valley Cabernet is about $64.49. That's significantly less than the $160 that a traditional winery spends to make the same or a similar wine. So if we look again at the value stream, focusing on the Negociant section of the business between the parentheses, I've actually adjusted the value that the winery sells the wine for down, and that's the area that's in the red circle. Typically the consumer is aware that this is a little higher volume. Quality may not be quite as strong, may not hit all those flavor profiles that a barrel-aged wine. So typically you see those sell retail between $15 and $20. So the winery is selling it for between $7.50 and $10 a bottle. But that's actually not that far off when you look at a $5.37 a case cost of goods, which is just your $64.49 divided by $12 a bottle. So in summary, a just-in-time Negociant winery generally purchases bulk wine rather than grapes. Bulk wine is available because of excess supply and or quality selection from other wineries. Buying wine further along the development continuum decreases production cost and time, and typically higher production volume also decreases costs further. So again, understanding this value stream and the cost of goods is critical in developing a successful winery business model. With that, I want to thank you again for joining me at Winery Biz 101. Please look me up at my website, winerythink.com, and you'll see a whole series of videos there for you to enjoy. Thank you.